This is NBC Palm Springs.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I'm Gino Lamont.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez.
Topping our news tonight, more than 4.2 million Americans have been infected with COVID-19. And the CDC published a forecast that predicts up to 160,000 U.S. deaths due to coronavirus by mid-August, while work on a vaccine continues. And meanwhile, Senate Republicans release a new economic stimulus plan. More on those stories in just a minute. But first, there are more than 30,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Riverside County. But the real number of infections could be as high as 175,000. That's coming from the results of an antibody study that was released today. County health officials say this underscores the need to wear face coverings because people might have the virus without presenting any symptoms.
Millions of people are waiting to hear what Congress plans to do to help them financially during the economic shutdown. Republicans are introducing their version of the CARES Act called the HEALS Act. Daytona Everett is here in studio to show us why the proposed measure is facing an uphill battle. Daytona.
Sarah, while the plan provides another round of those $1,200 stimulus checks, Congressman Raul Ruiz tells me other parts of the legislation, like unemployment assistance, are falling flat. And because of that, it's likely we could see another delay in Congress.
States will not be able to quickly restart any enhanced unemployment benefits because Senate Republicans dithered for what seems like an eternity.
Better late than never, the Senate GOP has finally revealed details on their economic rescue package. The legislation is coined the HEALS Act and includes another $1,200 stimulus check for taxpayers who qualify, a reduction in unemployment benefits capping them at $200 a week from the original $600 a week for the unemployed under the CARES Act, more PPP for struggling small businesses, $105 billion to help schools reopen, $16 billion to boost testing capacity, and more. But House Democrats say it's not enough.
Do you think a package like this could even pass through Congress?
You know, I don't even think it's going to pass through the Senate. I hear that there's a lot of conflict even within the Republican caucus in the Senate.
There's no secret that the month is coming to an end and rent is due, bills are due. When can Americans see this cash in their pocket?
Well, that's a good question, and that's why for over 60 days now, we've been really putting a lot of pressure on Senator Mitch McConnell to really take up the HEROES Act.
Mitch McConnell saying today the $1 trillion HEALS Act, which comes in $2 trillion cheaper than the HEROES Act, is the answer.
We've allocated that in a way that we think makes the most sense for the country at this particular time.
Negotiations are expected to continue into August, leaving aid up in the air, which is a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people as some protections expire this week. Join us at 6 o'clock for my full interview with Congressman Ruiz. We dive a little bit deeper into topics like eviction protections here in Riverside County. For NBC Palm Springs, I'm Daytona Everett.
All right, thank you, Daytona. Another example this evening of how the coronavirus can attack and change the lives of anyone, no matter your social standing. The virus has claimed the life of Long Beach Mayor Robert Garcia's mother, Gabby O'Donnell. Garcia's mother and stepfather were hospitalized and both were placed on ventilators earlier this month. His stepfather remains on a ventilator tonight. And here's a look at the latest COVID-19 numbers from Riverside County and the Coachella Valley. As you know, the county does not update numbers on weekends, so this is a 3-day total. But over 1,700 new cases were reported in Riverside County. 343 of those were from our Coachella Valley. We saw 34 new deaths countywide, 10 of those from our valley. Imperial County has one of the highest COVID-19 death rates in the state, and the president of a local union says the city of El Centro is largely responsible. Olivia Sandusky joins us now with more on this story. Olivia.
Sarah, with an unemployment rate nearing 30%, the city of El Centro has felt some pressure throughout the pandemic to reopen their economy. But Joe Duffel feels their actions put their community at risk and blames them for deaths within his union. COVID-19 has hit Imperial County hard, and as the area's positivity rate nears 20%, the president of a local union says more could have been done to protect the community.
There was no plan in place. And our initial phone calls were falling on deaf ears. And right now, the city of El Centro, in my opinion, is creating an atmosphere that allows for the spread of coronavirus.
Duffel represents businesses and employees in the Imperial Valley. One of his El Centro stores recently had 35% of its employees test positive, resulting in one death.
I hold them absolutely accountable for this. You've got elected officials from the state level and from the county level saying, look, we'll work with you. And every time that there's a mandate from the governor's office, you're getting pushback from the city of El Centro.
Assembly member Eduardo Garcia has been in conversation with city leaders throughout Imperial County. He says enforcement needs to be increased at the city level.
There's a lot more we can do here locally to enforce some of these rules. And they don't have to be punitive. They just have to be stern and backed up with science.
El Centro reopened in May, but was encouraged by Governor Newsom to close down a month later as case numbers spiked. Now the mayor says they've tightened up their regulations and are following state orders.
And we purchased about 500 of those touchless thermometers that we are also giving away to local businesses. We also have purchased a significant amount of masks that we have donated to our local businesses.
But Duffel says their actions are too late.
What has been allowed to be done there is absolutely shameful. And I'm not exaggerating. People are dying. People are dying because they want to play a political game.
Assembly member Eduardo Garcia also tells me the state's newly formed strike teams, which enforce COVID regulations, will be heading to Imperial County in the next few weeks to help them mitigate the spread in those hotspots. Olivia Sandusky, NBC Palm Springs.
Coronavirus coverage brought to you by East Valley COVID-19 testing site, serving residents of eastern Coachella Valley.
Two people accused of being linked to the disappearance of Jonathan Reynoso and Audrey Moran have been arraigned. 27-year-old Adeline Castaneda has been charged with one count of murder and accessory after the fact. 31-year-old Eric Rios has been charged with 2 counts of being accessory to murder after the fact. Last week, 28-year-old Aaron Bernal of Indio pled not guilty to 1 count of murder and accessory after the fact. Reynoso and Moran disappeared back in May of 2017.
Take a look at this video just sent into our newsroom. This appears to be a car fire north of I-10 in Indio between Jefferson and Monroe. A viewer tells us the eastbound lane came to a stop and there were explosions heard, but lots of black smoke there. And dramatic video now of a big rig rollover on Interstate 10 eastbound, the semi leaking oil. This was around 6 this morning. CHP closed 3 lanes while crews moved the semi off the road and cleaned up all that mess. No one was hurt.
A fire burning Yorupa Valley west of Riverside is 97% contained. The Karen fire broke out Saturday and burned more than 250 acres. No one was hurt, and there's been no reports of any damages to buildings or homes. Meanwhile, fire crews having a busy weekend getting control of a brush fire in Palm Springs near Tramway Road. You probably saw the smoke over the valley's west end this weekend. That fire erupted early Saturday, but eventually burned more than 200 acres. One firefighter hurt his leg. It's considered a minor injury, and no word yet exactly how that fire started. Meanwhile, fire burned 62 acres of brush in Huntington Beach, forcing evacuations before firefighters quickly contained that one. The fire was completely controlled late last night. Crews stayed on the scene today, though, to mop up those hot spots. Agua Caliente Resort Spa Casino is hiring, and right now the tribe needs workers to manage everything from slot machines to table games, serving food and beverage. Agua Caliente is focusing on hiring for their new Cathedral City Casino location, but they're hiring for all their locations. They have hundreds of jobs to fill, but there were more than 1,000 applicants for those positions available today. We'll hear from some of the people who applied for work later tonight on the NBC Palm Springs News at 6, Coachella Valley's only 1-hour-long evening newscast.
Well, it's hot outside. We know that. No breaking news there, but we're going to get a change of venue and show you the Santa Monica Ferris wheel along the coast there, where it's 66 degrees currently, much cooler Sure, it's lovely. As we head into a week that's getting much hotter, we got Chief Meteorologist Mike Everett standing by with a look at the numbers. Mike.
Sarah, kind of hard to wrap your head around that. They've got some patchy fog issues right now. You saw some of that gray in the background, and temperatures close to half what they are here. The beach is going to be a very popular place this weekend because, believe it or not, this is the cool part of the week. 113 is where we topped out. Very different from what we experienced last week. Remember, we had temperatures that were running slightly below the average of 108. As we go towards the weekend, though, it looks like we're going to be seeing something very close to the record for today's date, 119 back in 1998. And the overnights, we weren't able to get it back into the 70s there either. 78 is the average, 80 is where we arrived, 63 is the record. We've shaved 1 degree off of our high, currently 112 at Palm Springs International. Pretty decent wind coming in from the northwest, 16 to 20 miles an hour sustained. Gusts will get up to 25, 30 tonight before that calms down after the sun sets. And it's dry out there as well. 10% humidity. We're going to be looking at a lot more of that this week. National Weather Service in San Diego has posted an excessive heat watch for the Coachella Valley. Now, it doesn't go into effect until Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We're going to be heating up in a big kind of way. And in fact, if you look off towards the southwest, it looks like it's going to be warm there as well. Those excessive heat watches stretch all the way across the southwest. The only cool spot will be the mountains. In fact, it looks like even the Inland Empire will hit 100 degrees as we go into the second half of the week. Case in point, next 3 days brought to you by Comfort Air shows us slightly warmer on Tuesday, again, slightly warmer on Wednesday, and then we take the lid off on Thursday. We'll take a closer look at this heat wave, and I've got some updates for the tropics for you coming up.
All right, thank you, Mike. Coming up, we're going to take you to Washington, where the body of Congressman John Lewis is lying in state.
And this is a live picture from the U.S. Capitol. We'll show you the congressman's journey through the nation's capital, where thousands line the streets to pay tribute. And later, major American stores are preparing for the holiday shopping season by not opening. Details, stay with us.
When we welcome our viewers here in the West, the push to field a COVID vaccine is intensifying as tens of thousands of volunteers now become human testers. How close are they to a working vaccine? Also adding new fuel to the fire, the surge in heated protests in more American cities. When we see you back here tonight. Welcome back as we take a look at what's happening across the nation.
You're looking live at the Capitol Rotunda, where the body of Congressman John Lewis is lying in state. He died July 17th after a brief battle with pancreatic cancer. His body will remain in the Rotunda for 2 days. The week-long celebration of Lewis's life saw mourners gathering as the hearse carrying his casket paused in front of landmarks that meant so much to the congressman, including the Martin Luther King and Lincoln memorials, the Museum of African American History, and Black Lives Matter Plaza, where he visited just weeks before his passing.
John firmly focused on the future, on how to inspire the next generation to join the fight for justice.
Pelosi was joined by Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden and his wife at the Capitol to pay respects to Lewis this afternoon. President Trump released a statement mourning Lewis's death over the weekend. Congressman Lewis's funeral is in Atlanta, and that will be on Thursday.
2 states braced for hurricanes over this past weekend. One of the storms did make landfall. Hurricane Hannah hit Corpus Christi as a Category 1 storm and moved inland, where it dumped a lot of rain and left cars underwater. In the Rio Grande Valley, there was so much rain, headstones in one cemetery were completely submerged. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says the state is sending additional testing supplies and hospital staff to make sure the storm doesn't exacerbate the spread of the virus. Hawaii dodged a bullet, so to speak, when Hurricane Douglas suddenly veered away from the island chain and moved north into the Pacific. Some communities saw flooding because of the storm's surge, but islanders took all the warning seriously and prepared with gas for generators and extra food and water supplies. But again, the storm blew right past the islands.
We'll be right back after the break. But first, Mike, with a look at your AccuWeather forecast. He's standing by. Mike.
Hi, Sarah. I've got a look for you from what's happening in the tropics now and what to expect going forward. And speaking of which, we are tracking some heat going forward here locally. I'll tell you how to prepare. Coming back. Welcome back, bringing you back with a gorgeous live look. This one from our Agua Caliente casino cam. Good deal of wind blowing up and down the I-10 corridor today. We're going to see those gusts get up to about 25, 30 miles an hour tonight before all of that settles down after the sun sets. Taking on another live look. This is from our other Agua Caliente casino cam. A little bit of haze in the air. We've got some dust and some particulate matter. It's kind of normal for this time of year, but still gorgeous out there. As we pan across, you're seeing lots and lots of palm trees blowing out there. They'll do that for about another 2 or 3 hours, and then it'll calm down later tonight. We'll talk about that in a moment. Another live look for you. This is Corpus Christi, Texas, where Gino was just telling you some heavy rain fell this weekend. Looks like we're seeing the remnants of Hana moving off over shore there. You can see when we zoom it out and we take a look at infrared there, it looks like this system is now post-tropical and will just gently move its way off towards the west here before getting picked up by the jet stream and pulled across the country. It's done as a tropical storm. Here's what we're looking at the remnants of Doug as well. A lot of folks breathing a huge sigh of relief on the Hawaiian Islands this weekend. It looked like it had the potential to make landfall as a Category 1 storm. Currently a 1 right now, but has now moved north and a little bit west of the chain there. Looks like we got sustained winds in the low 80s, gusts up to 98 miles an hour. I love this forecast model. Extremely optimistic that this thing's just going to turn around and get pulled back across the country. That's not going to happen. That looks to be some sort of anomaly. There's Hana right there. Now 23 mile an hour sustained winds, gusts at 46. So yeah, this is basically just a post-tropical low that's going to sit and drop some rain before it gets ripped apart by the jet stream. Take a look at temperatures across North America tomorrow. Look at 82 in Toronto, 93 in New York. 90 is your number in Miami. It's still muggy, still rainy down there. Temperatures starting to warm up in the southwest, 111 in Phoenix. And then look at that, 88 in Portland, 77 in Vancouver, 95 in Billings tomorrow. We've got some issues with heat. Now, what I need to tell you is this. The week will start off warm, definitely warmer than it was last week by about a good 7 or 8 degrees. But as we go into the second half of the week, this excessive heat watch will be in place Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. When you see the numbers, you'll understand. You see that kind of shaded red area there as well. So places like Havasu, Yuma, Phoenix, everybody's going to be in on this one. Current temperatures right now, well, we saw that gorgeous live look from Santa Monica earlier. 73 in LA right now and in Oceanside, 71 in San Diego. Looks like the marine layer will be a little bit thinner this week. So if you want to go to the beach, there you will encounter some cloud cover in the mornings, but it looks like it mixes out in the afternoon. Water temperatures are running in the upper 50s though. It's going to be a little bit of a shock when you go to swim. 102 in Desert Hot Springs, 108 currently in Thousand Palms, 112 in Coachella. Double digits in the Coachella Valley. And look at Big Bear, 77 up there, currently 87 in Idlewild. Seeing those winds coming in sustained at about 20 miles an hour. Again, gusts get up to about 30 tonight, especially along the I-10 corridor. But as I mentioned earlier, the later it gets, the calmer it'll be. It's going to be another one of those nights where it's slow to cool. Midnight, we're still in the low 90s. We don't break into the mid 80s until about 2 a.m. We'll do our very best to get into the upper 70s and lower 80s tomorrow. And then boom. Again, that's about 7 degrees warmer than it was this time last week. And dew points in the upper 30s. It's going to be dry. 114 tomorrow in Palm Springs, 115 in Indio, 105 in Joshua Tree. Hikers beware. This is the time of year when they're having to rescue a lot of people. And those numbers will go up this weekend. Your Comfort Air 7-day forecast shows the heat peaking on Friday and staying hot next week.
Welcome back as we take a look at some consumer news. Back to school shopping should be in full swing right now, but the pandemic has everyone wondering what school will look like come this fall. Dan Sheneman reports.
Before students go back to school, parents usually do a little back to school shopping.
I look forward to shopping.
Of course, they enjoy having fun backpacks and things of that sort.
And while it's not clear if classes will be at home or in homeroom, many parents expect to spend more.
So we actually saw the spending go up about 2% to a total of $529, which was a little surprising for us. We thought it would be down a little bit given where we were in the spring and given the unemployment numbers.
Experts say it's a good time to shop.
They still have clothes to buy for their kids. Even if school is virtually in session, they also have supplies. So the fact of the matter is that people are still shopping.
And retailers are offering incentives, steep discounts, curbside pickup, and cash back.
Just another way to keep money in your pocket. So you're going to see a lot of retailers offering buy online, earn cash back. So it's a big online shopping play for you to shop with a company, and then they're going to reward you.
But those purchases may not mean pens and paper.
The traditional school supplies were in decline by about 12%, and that was really made up for by the amount of hardware that people were purchasing, computers, etc.
But one thing retailers can't fix, the uncertainty about the next school year.
They haven't said if their kids are going to go back or if they're going to stay home. So I'm really anxious to know.
A few jitters as the first day of school gets closer. Dan Sheneman, NBC News.
Papa John's is on a hiring spree. The pizza chain plans to hire 10,000 workers as it tries to meet a surge in demand for its pizzas, in large part because of the pandemic and, well, stay-at-home orders. The company recently added 20,000 employees. And Google's extending its work-from-home option because of the pandemic. Employees who don't need to be in the office can continue to work from home through June of 2021. Many tech companies have said most of their employees can work from home until the end of this year. Twitter says its workers can work from home, well, forever if they want to. And looking toward Thanksgiving, Target will close for the holiday, joining Walmart. Target also plans to roll out its biggest deals of the year online in October. Target says this will help cut down on crowds that big sales typically draw on what we used to call Black Friday, and which now we're just going to call, Friday. All right, once again, we want to remind you that if you just scan, and I'm told click is the wrong word, like don't actually touch your screen, which I tried and it does not work. Scan this QR code with your phone. It'll take you to all of our social media websites. You can see all of this show. If you came in late and there's a story you missed that you'd like to see or you'd like to see again, you can get all that by simply scanning the QR code right next to me here. Lots more coming up tonight at 6 o'clock. Hope you can join us then. Nightly News is next with Lester Holt. We'll see you in 30 minutes.